I bought the Pixel 4a in 2022, and in good reason. Here's why. Now, even though I moved from iOS to Android, I haven't really completely ditched Apple because I still use it in conjunction with my MacBook. I still love that experience. But even without my transition from iOS to Android, I think this video can be objectively viewed as my experience with the Pixel 4a. So why did I buy a phone that was launched almost a year and a half ago? That's in August 2020. Now in 2022. So let's get all the obvious factors out of the way. At the moment, this phone retails on Flipkart for about 32,000 Indian rupees. And when you look at like the Big Billion sale or the Republic Day sale, it retails for about 26,000 Indian rupees. When you factor in a few credit card cashbacks, in my case, the SBI credit card cashback, I eventually got this phone for an effective price of 23,500 Indian rupees. Now at that price point, this phone definitely becomes a no-brainer. But here's more. Now the thing about buying the most affordable Pixel is that you get most of the features that make a Pixel at a lower price. That's one of the reasons why most tech reviewers recommend the Pixel 6 over the 6 Pro, because it's a better bang for your buck. Now by that argument, the Pixel 4a gets you even better value for your money. For example, Google Assistant is arguably one of the best voice assistants available out there. And one of the ways you can put that to use is in the transcribe feature. If your hands are dirty, for example, you just click the mic on the keyboard and speak away, and it will transcribe your voice scarily accurately. You can definitely rely on it. To name a few more positives of using the Pixel 4a, you're always going to be running the latest version of Android as soon as it releases. And that's the same case with security updates. You're always going to get security updates really quick. Google is good at it. It's already Jan, and I'm already using a Jan security patch. And the software experience is absolutely bloat-free, so you're not going to be forced to use apps or keep apps on your phone that you're not going to use. And that's one of the biggest USPs of using a Pixel. Like MKBHD's review on the Pixel 4a goes, Google keeps a lot of things simple. It comes in this matte black color, which I absolutely adore, and it comes in 128 gigs, just one variant. Now, if you were going to go with just one variant, I think 128 gigs is that sweet spot because it's kind of like a common ground for a power user as well as an average user. Now, there are a few things that can prove to be a deal breaker for someone considering the Pixel 4a, but it is not for me. Let me list a few. For example, it's a 60 Hz screen. Now, I'm not someone who's left yearning for a high refresh rate. I don't really care about 90 and 120 Hz. So I didn't look at this as a deal breaker, but if you are someone who really fancies a high refresh rate, then keep that in mind. It's only 60 Hz. I honestly don't care. And if you ask me to choose between a high refresh rate and better battery life, I'll choose better battery life any day. Now, the other two things that may seem like deal breakers, but I think it's a boon in disguise, is the rear mounted fingerprint reader and the polycarbonate build. Now hear me out, someone coming from the iPhone 13 who has only face unlock, I absolutely missed a fingerprint reader. In the current world that we're living in, with an iPhone, you're always found punching in your passcode because you're wearing a mask. Or if you're going to pull down your mask, that's like one-handed usage out of the way because you've got to pull down your mask and use face unlock. So I absolutely missed a fingerprint reader, and I was extremely happy coming back to a rear mounted fingerprint reader. Yes, I know it's less fancier than under-screen fingerprint readers or ultrasonic fingerprint readers, but it's very reliable. And Google is taking it one step forward by enabling gestures in the fingerprint reader. So you can, for example, pull down your notification tray without touching your screen. And the rear-mounted fingerprint reader is a tried and tested place to have your biometric scanner placed, because your index finger naturally rests there when you hold the phone, and it just works. Now, the other thing that may be a deal breaker that I believe is a boon is the polycarbonate build. For example, the average 6-inch phone, for example, the S21, not the Ultra, but the S21 or the iPhone 13, the average 6-inch phones, they weigh about 171 or 174 grams respectively. The Google Pixel 4a, on the other hand, weighs 143 grams. That's 20% lighter. And you definitely feel this difference in weight when it's something that you're perpetually using, like your phone that you're always holding in your hand. Now, I know a lot of people may argue that polycarbonate is more susceptible to snapping, but let me ask you this. In the real world, how often have you heard someone's phone snapping than someone's rear glass shattering? So I would take a polycarbonate build over ceramic or glass or any of these other fancy materials, because it's one less thing to break. Now, if I have to put a lot of its positive physical attributes under one umbrella, it would be, of course, the polycarbonate build, the rear-mounted fingerprint reader, a headphone jack, which I use because I can attach my mic directly into the phone without any adapters, stereo speakers, which is surprisingly good for a phone of this price, And definitely its form factor. I think the Google Pixel 4a's form factor is one of its biggest USPs. It's the same size as the iPhone SE, so it's very handy, but without the massive forehead and the chin. So you get a bigger screen in the same form factor. And that's one of the reasons I would still choose the Pixel 4a over its successor, the Pixel 5a, because with the successor, Google has gone ahead and increased the form factor. So it gets just a little less handy. Now, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. If I had to change one thing at the Google Pixel 4a, I would probably add an additional wide-angle camera at the back. It just has one camera in it. And sometimes I miss a wide-angle camera if you're vlogging because the frame is kind of too tight, so you like wish for something wider. But the one camera that it has is very dependable. I mean, this entire video, apart from the B-rolls, is shot on the Pixel 4a, so I'm going to let you be the judge of it. There's no fancy lights. I'm just directly shooting in front of the window, so it's as natural as it gets. There's no color correction because I don't color correct while I edit. And so you be the judge of it. Yes, all I've done is attached a mic, but video quality from it is straight from the phone, shot in 4K at 30 FPS. So, to sum it up, if bought at the right time at a very attractive price of 23,500 Indian rupees, what do you get? You get a stock Android experience, you get a very reliable promise of getting the latest updates and latest security patches. You get a very light phone, a very handy phone, a perfect form factor, and a more than passable camera. So, seems pretty much quite a good deal to me. If it's your first time here, I'd really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. I also have my social links down in the description if you'd like to follow me on those platforms as well. That's it from me. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.